Jimmy Haslam couldn't hide it, that simmering frustration boiling over as Gabriel trudged off the field with just 55 passing yards by halftime. The Browns' sideline looked defeated, not because of the scoreboard, but because everyone knew what was missing. Shedeur Sanders stood ready, helmet on, watching another winnable game slip away under Kevin Stefanski's conservative game plan. Even Myles Garrett's usual fire couldn't mask the sense of disbelief spreading through the team. It wasn't just a bad outing, it was a glaring exposure of a system too afraid to evolve, and too stubborn to trust the talent sitting right on its bench. This moment defined the dysfunction haunting Cleveland.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
When a team refuses to adapt, it risks everything: chemistry, credibility, and control of its future. Sanders represents not just a spark but a direction, a quarterback who embodies what this franchise claims to value: composure, leadership, and readiness. Persisting with Gabriel, despite clear evidence of his limitations, sends a message louder than any loss, that loyalty to mediocrity outweighs commitment to progress. Unless Haslam and Stefanski act decisively, this isn't just one wasted game. It's the start of a slow unraveling. You could feel the tension boiling over. The Browns walked off the field, heads low, fans stunned into silence or just straight-up rage. And Jimmy Haslam? Reportedly livid. Because when your team's quarterback has only thrown for 55 yards by halftime, and you're sitting on a potential star like Shedeur Sanders, what exactly are we doing here? Let's get straight to the point. This was a disaster. An organizational embarrassment playing out live on national television. And it didn't have to be. The Browns' decision to roll with Gabriel, a rookie with serious limitations in an NFL setting, over the clearly more talented and poised Shedeur Sanders isn't just questionable. It's malpractice. Gabriel's first-half numbers weren't just bad. They were abysmal. 55 yards. That's not an NFL stat line, that's a cry for help. And what made it worse? The coaching staff didn't even seem to trust him. Every drive looked the same: short checkdowns, ultra-conservative play calling, and a complete refusal to open up the field. They were playing scared. And when a team plays scared, it loses. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders is sitting on the sideline, cool, calm, composed, watching his chance to develop wasted while the team crashes and burns around him. And you've got to ask, why? Why are the Browns so committed to a quarterback they clearly don't trust? What are they protecting by keeping Shedeur benched when he's the one with the experience, the arm, the leadership? It doesn't add up. And people inside the building know it too. Myles Garrett was seen shaking his head on the sideline. Frustrated. Disgusted. You don't need to be a body language expert to see it. The defense is exhausted. They're giving what they can, but they're being sent back onto the field over and over because the offense can't move the ball. That kind of imbalance breaks locker rooms. It builds resentment. And it all traces back to one thing: quarterback play. Quinton Judkins, rookie running back, was the only bright spot. He was running angry like he knew he was the only one producing. But that only highlighted the issue even more. If your run game is the only functioning part of your offense and your QB is putting up college spring game numbers, how much longer do you let that slide before pulling the plug? And let's be very clear, this isn't about just one bad game. This is a symptom of something deeper. The Browns' refusal to start Sanders isn't just a coaching error, it's a philosophical failure. It shows an organization afraid of bold decisions. Afraid of upsetting some invisible pecking order. Afraid of admitting they got it wrong with Gabriel. But guess what? The longer they wait to admit it, the worse it's going to get. You don't have to be a scout to see the difference. Gabriel looks lost in the pocket, hesitant, unsure of himself. Sanders, by contrast, has already proven he can handle pressure. He's accurate, mobile, and, most importantly, composed. He plays like someone who's been under the spotlight and thrived. And that's not just hype. That's years of proving himself at every level. Yet here we are, wasting his rookie year holding a clipboard while the team spirals. This is the kind of coaching decision that derails entire seasons. And more than that, it damages careers. Every snap Sanders doesn't get now is a lost opportunity for growth, development, timing with receivers, chemistry with the offense. And every loss on the schedule makes it harder to justify keeping him on the bench. But instead of pulling the trigger and giving him the reins, Stefanski and the staff are doubling down on a quarterback they clearly don't believe in. At some point, you've got to call it what it is: stubbornness. Maybe it's about not wanting to admit Gabriel isn't ready. Maybe it's about internal politics. But the fans aren't blind. The players aren't blind. The media's not blind. Everyone can see that Sanders should be starting. Everyone can see what's being wasted. And Jimmy Haslam? He's reportedly had enough. Because this isn't just about a loss to the Dolphins. This is about the future of the franchise. This is about turning a promising roster into a dumpster fire because of indecision at the most important position in football. You have a defense built to win now. You have offensive weapons. You have a fan base desperate for relevance. But you're tanking all of it to avoid making a switch that everyone knows is inevitable. And if you're Shedeur Sanders? How do you not feel disrespected? You've got all the tools. You've proven yourself. You're carrying yourself like a pro even while being sidelined for no legitimate reason. That kind of professionalism is rare. But it won't last forever. You can only keep a guy like that in the shadows for so long before frustration sets in. And once you lose him, good luck getting him back. So what's the plan here, Cleveland? Are we really going to keep watching this same game every week? Gabriel throwing checkdowns, the offense stalling out, and the defense dragging itself back onto the field, while Shedeur Sanders collects dust. Because here's the truth. Every game you delay this decision is hurting everyone involved. The team. The locker room. The fans. The culture. Sanders' development. Even Gabriel's confidence. It's lose, 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 lose. It's also not hard to fix. Start Sanders. Let the kid play. Let him take his lumps, grow, get reps, and figure things out on the field. That's how you build something. That's how you develop talent. Not by overprotecting one quarterback while burying the better one for the sake of some weird internal pecking order. Look, no rookie is perfect. Sanders is going to make mistakes. But so what? At least those mistakes will mean something. At least they'll be part of building towards the future instead of doubling down on a clearly broken plan. And more importantly, at least the team will know that they're trying to win. Not just going through the motions with a quarterback who can't throw more than 5 yards downfield without panic in his eyes. So yeah, Haslam being furious? Makes perfect sense. He's watching his team implode while the coaching staff refuses to make the obvious move. He's watching fans tune out. Players check out. And it all leads back to the same point. Starting the wrong quarterback is the fastest way to lose a season in a locker room. The message couldn't be clearer. Start Shedeur Sanders. Now, before you lose the team. Before you lose the fans. Before you lose any chance at salvaging the season. Because this isn't just about a quarterback battle anymore. It's about the Browns' future. And if the people in charge can't see that, then maybe it's time to change more than just the quarterback. If you're as frustrated as the rest of us watching this unfold, drop a comment below. Let us know what you think is really going on in Cleveland and whether Shedeur Sanders should be starting immediately. Hit like if you're tired of watching this train wreck in slow motion, share this video with a Browns fan who's on the verge of losing it, and don't forget to subscribe for more breakdowns of football's most baffling decisions. Let's just hope the Browns figure it out before it's too late. The saddest part? This isn't even shocking anymore. It's predictable. Because this is what happens when a franchise ignores what's right in front of them. They overthink it. They get caught up in schemes, politics, egos, and completely forget the simplest principle in football: play your best players. You cannot convince anyone watching that Dillon Gabriel is giving the Browns the best chance to win. Not after that performance. Not after that complete lack of trust from the coaching staff. You could see it in every snap. The routes were short, the reads were basic, the protection was scared. It was like watching a team trying not to lose rather than trying to win. And in the NFL, that's a death sentence. But what makes this even worse is the opportunity that's just sitting there. Shedeur Sanders isn't some raw, undeveloped prospect. He's ready. He's smart. He's accurate. He knows how to lead a team. And he's been under pressure before. Real pressure, not just preseason hype. He's walked into stadiums packed with fans screaming at him and still made throws that made scouts sit up and take notes. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel's game looked like it was ripped from a high school playbook. Check down, sack, punt. And sure, part of that's on play calling, but if your quarterback can't execute more than a 2-yard dump-off without the coaching staff breaking into a cold sweat, maybe that's your sign. This goes beyond just stats. It's about momentum, culture, optics. And right now, the optics in Cleveland are awful. You've got a star-studded defense practically begging for the offense to keep them off the field for more than 2 minutes at a time. You've got fans booing at home. You've got players looking around like, what are we doing? Even Sanders' family looked visibly irritated from the box. And who can blame them? They know what he's capable of. They know this isn't about ability. It's about stubbornness. And if they can see it, you'd hope someone, anyone, in that organization could too. But so far? Crickets. Just more of the same deflection in press conferences. More "we believe in our guy" quotes. More pretending everything is fine when the house is clearly on fire. And the longer they delay, the harder it's going to be to justify not playing Sanders. Eventually, they won't be able to hide behind vague coach speak or development timelines. The results speak for themselves. And they're loud. The worst part is that the Browns do have the pieces. That defense is playoff caliber. Judkins is a legit threat in the run game. There's enough talent at wide receiver to be dangerous. All they need is competent quarterback play, and they're not getting it. They're not even getting close to it. So let's stop pretending this is complicated. It's not. You have two options. Keep losing with Gabriel or take a chance on Sanders and actually try to win. One of those choices looks like a plan. The other looks like surrender. And for the people who want to say, but Shedeur's a rookie too, sure. So is Gabriel. But they are not the same rookie. Sanders plays like someone who's been coached by a Hall of Famer for years, because, well, he has. His football IQ, his poise, his ability to scan the field and make reads, it's all light years ahead. That's not opinion. That's observable. This isn't about playing favorites or chasing hype. This is about the team. And the team is dying a slow, painful death every time Gabriel steps onto the field and throws for less than what most QBs rack up in a quarter. And let's talk about coaching for a second, because Kevin Stefanski isn't exactly coming out of this looking great either. His play calling against the Dolphins was a clinic in playing not to lose. No risks. No rhythm. No energy. Just the same tired screen passes and timid inside runs. It was like watching someone who'd already decided the offense couldn't function, so he didn't even bother to try. But if that's your belief, if the quarterback can't handle even a moderately aggressive game plan, then why are you starting him? Why are you building your entire offense around someone you clearly don't trust? That's what doesn't make sense. That's what has fans tearing their hair out. You have another option. A better one. But instead of using it, the Browns are playing like they're stuck in 2015, terrified of the unknown, desperate not to rock the boat, when the boat is already capsized. And if you're Shedeur Sanders, you have to be wondering what exactly you need to do to get your shot. Because this isn't about sitting and learning anymore. He's already learned. He's already shown he's ready. The only thing he's not doing is playing. And for a quarterback, that's where the real growth happens. This entire saga feels like a cautionary tale in real time. A team with the right pieces dragging itself down because it's too afraid to pivot. Too afraid to acknowledge the obvious. Too afraid to say, we got this one wrong, let's fix it. And every week they wait, they dig the hole deeper. Let's not forget, this is the NFL. Seasons move fast. You don't get endless chances. The longer you flounder, the faster that window closes. One more loss and the season starts to slip away. One more week of quarterback purgatory and the defense starts to give up. And once that happens, there's no getting it back. And here's the real kicker. Even if Sanders isn't perfect right away, at least he's growing. At least you're building something. At least there's hope. Right now, there's nothing but frustration and excuses. So what happens next? That's up to the Browns. But the writing is on the wall. The fans are done waiting. The locker room is losing patience. And if the front office keeps dragging their feet, it won't just be a quarterback change that needs to happen. It'll be a full reset. Coaching staff included. They can save it. They still have time. But they need to act. No, not next week. Not after another blowout. Not after more post-game quotes about evaluating everything. Enough. The evaluation is done. The results are in. Start Sanders. Let him grow. Let him lead. Or keep watching the season go up in flames while everyone wonders what could have been. And if you think this is just noise from frustrated fans or overreaction from the media, think again. The pressure isn't just building outside the building. It's leaking inside the locker room, into press conferences, and into every sideline camera shot that shows players visibly checked out while the offense wastes possession after possession. Let's talk about culture for a second, because that's what's really on the line here. The Browns, for years, have struggled to establish any kind of winning identity. They've had flashes. A playoff win. Some defensive dominance. But consistency? Leadership? Momentum? Has always been just out of reach. And now, with a generational defensive unit and a stacked rookie class, they're right on the edge again. But the quarterback position, again, is dragging everything down. And yes, it really is that simple. Look at the sideline demeanor during that Dolphins game. Look at the body language. Garrett pacing back and forth like he's holding in a scream. Veteran players looking to the sidelines after another 3 and out like they're mentally already off the field. That's not just disappointment. That's demoralization. That's what happens when a locker room loses faith in the plan. When they start asking the same question fans are shouting at their TVs, why are we doing this to ourselves? You think that kind of energy doesn't affect performance? It does. That's how a team with this much talent ends up getting embarrassed on Sundays. And don't forget, players talk. They know who's balling out in practice. They know who's got it and who doesn't. There's no universe where Shedeur Sanders is lighting up practice reps and players aren't looking around wondering why he's not getting reps in games. That sort of decision doesn't just confuse a team, it fractures it. The Browns aren't just risking losses. They're risking the entire foundation they're trying to build. You can't preach accountability, competition, and development, then turn around and sit the most promising young quarterback on your roster because, what? You're scared to make a change? That's not leadership. That's weakness. And the team feels it. Let's not get it twisted. This isn't about being impatient. It's about being intelligent. You don't waste prime years of your defense and young talent on an offense being steered by someone you don't even trust to throw past the sticks. And the irony? The longer they keep this up, the harder it becomes to make the switch without it looking like a total panic move. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter how it looks anymore. It just has to happen. At this point, the results have spoken louder than any press conference ever could. The film doesn't lie. The stats don't lie. The locker room energy doesn't lie. Gabriel is not the answer. And holding back Shedeur Sanders because you're worried about optics or stubborn pride is just digging your own grave. Let the kid play. Not just for his sake, but for everyone's. Because if you don't, if the Browns keep marching Gabriel out there week after week, putting up anemic box scores while Shedeur collects dust on the bench, you're going to lose more than games. You're going to lose credibility. You're going to lose the fan base. And worse, you're going to lose players. At some point, Garrett and other veterans are going to start thinking about their futures. Do they really want to waste another year of their prime on a team that can't make a basic quarterback adjustment? Do they want to be part of a rebuild when they know the fix is sitting right there in shoulder pads? These are the consequences the Browns front office doesn't seem to understand. This isn't just a football decision. It's a culture-defining moment. And the most painful part? This is all self-inflicted. There's no salary cap excuse. No injury crisis. No mystery here. The solution is on your bench. Wearing number 2. Waiting. Calm. Patient. Professional. But for how much longer? At a certain point, Sanders himself is going to start wondering what he's even doing there. Why he trusted this organization. And then what? If you wait too long, if you let the frustration simmer without resolution, you run the risk of losing him entirely, mentally, emotionally, maybe even physically down the line. Let's not act like this league doesn't move fast. Quarterbacks with potential aren't just valuable, they're currency. And if the Browns keep squandering that asset, someone else will happily develop him into a franchise player. You know what's going to sting the most? When Shedeur Sanders ends up lighting it up for another team in a couple years, while Browns fans are left wondering why it couldn't happen in Cleveland. That's the trajectory they're on. That's the future they're sleepwalking into. So here we are. Another brutal loss. Another week of excuses. Another press conference where nothing is said. Another talented quarterback benched for no legitimate reason. Another wasted performance from a defense that deserves so much more. And the fans? They're exhausted. You can't keep asking them to trust the process, when the process clearly isn't working. They've been patient. They've bought the jerseys. They've sold out the stadiums. And now they're just asking for one thing. Make the obvious move. Start Sanders. Not next week. Not after the next meltdown. Not once the season's officially out of reach. No, because he is your best chance. Because every snap he takes is one step closer to stability. Because the team is crying out for change. And because your quarterback, no matter how much you may have believed in him, is not getting it done. And he's not going to. There's no more room for pride. No more benefit of the doubt. No more development curve. The Browns can't afford to play this safe anymore. Playing it safe is what got them here. Playing it safe is why the fans are angry, the players are frustrated, and the organization is stuck in neutral. So if you're in the front office, if you're Kevin Stefanski, if you're Jimmy Haslam, fuming in a luxury suite watching your team get humiliated, pull the plug. Make the change. Because if you don't, there won't be anything left to salvage. You can feel the silence setting in, not the kind that brings peace, but the kind that fills stadiums after another 3 and out. The kind that seeps into the locker room when no one wants to say it out loud but everyone knows. This team is wasting time. Wasting talent. wasting what could be a turning point in the franchise's story. And while the front office sits on its hands, hoping the situation magically resolves itself, fans are done waiting. Done hoping that maybe next week Gabriel will finally look like an NFL starter. Spoiler alert, he won't. The coaching staff doesn't even give him the chance. Their play calling is basically a public admission that they don't trust him. You don't run an offense like that unless you're trying to hide your quarterback. And here's the problem: when you start hiding your quarterback, you're also hiding your potential. You're limiting your team, shrinking your playbook, dragging down everyone around him. You're telling your defense, sorry, we're going to need you to play 75% of this game again. You're telling your offensive weapons, yeah, you're not getting the ball in space today, again. You're telling your fans, this is just how it's going to be for now. That's unacceptable. There's no good excuse left. No logic, no spin, no PR magic that justifies continuing to bench Shedeur Sanders. He has the talent. He has the composure. He has the leadership. And he's sitting there every week, helmet on, ready to go, while the team keeps floundering under a quarterback who's not just struggling, he's sinking. And it's not just a stats issue. It's a trajectory issue. Every game Shedeur doesn't start is a game that stalls his growth. A game where chemistry with receivers doesn't get built. Timing isn't developed. Confidence isn't tested. These are the reps that shape great players. And they're being flushed down the drain so the Browns can protect a decision they should have reversed weeks ago. What's the end game here? Keep Gabriel in until the season's mathematically over? Until the locker room fractures beyond repair? Until fans stop showing up altogether? Because let's be honest, nobody's paying to watch checkdowns and moral victories. They want a team that competes, a team that evolves, a team that wants to win. And right now, it doesn't feel like the Browns do, but they still can. That's the wildest part. It's not too late. Sanders is there. The team has a defense that can carry them if the offense even resembles competence. They have a fanbase desperate to believe. But belief needs action. And action starts under center. Start Shedeur Sanders. And the excuses? Save the season before it's lost for good. Hit the comments and tell us, what's really stopping this move from happening? Like if you're done watching the Browns sabotage themselves. Share this with a fan who's too numb to yell anymore. And subscribe, we've got more chaos to cover. Because if Cleveland doesn't make a change soon, we'll be back here next week saying the same thing. Only louder.